Welcome to the Mystery Snapshots of History, where the past holds more secrets than you ever imagined. In 1965, two amphibious vehicles successfully crossed the 22-mile English Channel. The feat demonstrated advancements in dual-terrain engineering. Around 1905, a Chinese man feeds a prisoner restrained in a pillory. The act of kindness offers a glimpse of humanity during a time of strict public punishment. One of the last known photos of the Titanic was taken on the 12th of April, 1912. 2 days later, the ship struck an iceberg and sank, killing more than 500 people. The construction of the Central Line in 1898 marked a turning point in U.S. infrastructure. The railroad helped connect distant regions and fueled westward expansion and economic development. During the Tet Offensive in 1968, a U-40 Marine rescues two Vietnamese children in the city of Hue. The image highlights moments of courage amid the violence of the Vietnam War. To avoid crying while chopping onions, soldiers wear gas masks in a 1941 World War II photo. A creative and humorous solution to a simple task in a difficult time. In a rare moment, a kangaroo strikes a woman attempting to photograph it. Taken in the 1962nd, the photo reveals the unpredictable nature of wildlife encounters in Australia. A sailboat appears shrouded in thick fog in a photo from 1900. The image is ghostly and mysterious, leaving questions about its journey and passengers. The Marine Angel barge crosses the raised Michigan Avenue Bridge in Chicago in 1953. The image illustrates how canal traffic and water transport were still essential in a busy, growing city. A long line forms outside a theater in Vancouver in 1977 for the premiere of Star Wars. Released on May 25th, the film launched a franchise that would change cinema and science fiction forever. In a 1940-second photo, taken in Budapest, Hungary, a couple uses a stick to take a selfie. The image shows how the desire to capture personal moments existed long before the digital era. Workers stand on the roof of a DKW Reichsklasse Type F7 from the 1932nd, testing the strength of its wooden body. The demonstration highlights engineering durability at the time. A construction worker walks across a steel beam high above New York City, around 1950. The skyline was growing fast, with new skyscrapers rising across the city. In 1909, a cat is captured operating a vintage camera. The humorous scene shows even animals became subjects and sometimes participants in early photography. Moving trucks fill a Los Angeles neighborhood in the 1952nd. The scene reflects the post-war housing boom that drew many families to the growing suburbs. A housewife removes frozen long johns from a clothesline during a harsh winter in the 1942nd. Hanging laundry outdoors was common, even in extreme cold. An 1890 photo shows a bar in Wisconsin offering children's beer, non-alcoholic drinks that let kids imitate adult customs during family outings. In 1948, a young boy watches television for the first time. That year, television began spreading rapidly across the U.S., forever transforming entertainment. Men in Harlem, New York, gather outside a shop in 1940 to listen to the radio. At the time, radio was a vital source of news, connection, and community. Grand Central Terminal in New York appears in a 1929 photo bathed in natural light. Back then, sunlight filled the station's Great Hall, before skyscrapers blocked it out. In 2004, a service dog lies beside the coffin of an American soldier who died in Afghanistan. More than a partner, he was saying goodbye to a friend. A Victorian house is pulled through the streets of San Francisco by horses in 1908. After the 1906 earthquake, this method was used to save and relocate damaged homes. A female photographer balances on an elevated platform above Berlin in 1912. Behind her, the city's mix of cathedrals and factories reflects rapid urban growth. In a trench during wartime, a dog sits beside soldiers wearing a helmet and holding a weapon. Loyal to the end, these animals shared in both danger and rest. A photo from around 150 years ago shows what appears to be the largest horse ever recorded. While impressive, the image may have been altered with early photographic tricks. A white man and a black man lead a civil rights march in the United States during the late 1952. The image represents the struggle for racial equality that would lead to major changes, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964. A boy sleeps beside a baby lamb on a farm in the United States. Taken in the 1942. The photo reflects the simplicity of rural life during a time of economic hardship. On June 8, 1958, 9-year-old David Isom broke the color barrier at a segregated pool in Florida. His action led authorities to shut down the pool and became a symbolic moment in the civil rights movement. Two photos show Soviet soldier Eugen Stanovich Kobetvo, one from 1940, one before he went to war, and one from 1945 after his return. The contrast between the two images reflects the passage of war and time. A soldier returns home to his daughter in 1945. Following the end of World War II, the photo captures the reunion of families after years of conflict and separation. In Italy, 1944, a soldier shares his rations with two local children. The image captures a brief moment of kindness during the hardships of World War II. A British soldier reunites with his 8-month-old daughter at the port in 1945. The scene reflects the relief and joy of soldiers returning home at the end of the war. In 1945, 9-year-old Elizabeth Windsor, the future Queen Elizabeth II, served as a mechanic and driver in the Auxiliary Territorial Service. She was the only member of the British royal family to serve in the armed forces. In 1946, several girls at McKinley High School in Chicago were sent home for wearing pants instead of skirts. The incident reflected the growing cultural changes and challenges to traditional norms in the post-war era. Kimberly Kate, an English woman, became known in 1962 for her devotion to caring for stray dogs. Over the years, she provided shelter to more than 600 dogs, never turning away an animal in need. Two children walk together through a courtyard in Glasgow, Scotland. Taken during the 1952, the photo highlights the strength of friendship during difficult times. In 1927, a group of high school students learn automobile mechanics. The photo represents the rise of women entering technical fields once dominated by men. A police dog rides in the sidecar of a motorcycle during the 1932. The scene shows how dogs were already reliable partners in law enforcement, offering agility and loyalty. Sheep graze peacefully in public parks in London. In the 1922 and 1932, this natural method of grass cutting helped reduce maintenance costs for the city. A photograph from the 1892 shows passengers on a train in the United States. Railroads played a key role in connecting regions and boosting industrial growth during that period. A Native American mother poses with her child in the 1802. The photo reflects a time when Native communities were facing displacement and forced adaptation to UFIB's expansion. On a Paris street in 1959, a young French woman smiles as her cat sits beside her. The image captures the simplicity and quiet joy of everyday life during France's post-war recovery. Photographer Walter Chandoha captured his daughter Paula and a kitten smiling into the lens in 1955. The photo became one of his most famous works, showing the connection between children and animals. A police officer pauses traffic in 1925 to allow a cat and her kitten to cross the street. The photo reveals a simple gesture of care amid the noise of city life. In 1952, a woman poses with her motorcycle. 72 years later, in 2024, she returns to the same spot with the same bike, showing how time changes many things, but not all. A young man dances with a smiling woman in an elegant room. The black and white photo captures a joyful celebration, possibly his first formal dance. The old Cincinnati Library in Ohio, built in 1874, was known for its Romanesque architecture and iron book stacks. Despite its beauty, it was demolished in 1955 to make space for new offices. A 5-year-old Albert Einstein sits for a portrait in Germany in 1884. Still a quiet child who hadn't yet spoken at the time. He would later change science with the theory of relativity. John Smith, believed to be the oldest Native American Plaisance, was born in 1785 and died in 1922 at the age of 137. His life reportedly spanned 3 centuries, defying common understandings of human lifespan. Between 1918 and 1919, an American soldier returns from the Great War. Stepping off a train with a suitcase in hand, a small crowd welcomes him home, celebrating peace after years of conflict. Sophia Loren poses in an elegant dress around 1955. At the height of her career, she became an icon of Italian cinema, symbolizing the glamour and beauty of the post-war film era. The image shows a group of Russian female pilots known as the Night Witches. In 1941, they flew outdated aircraft at low altitudes to bomb Nazi positions at night, playing a critical role in the war effort. A 1938 photo shows a woman and her dog in a single-room home in Texas. During this time, many American families lived in small spaces, with dogs providing both companionship and protection. In a trench during World War I, wounded soldiers received treatment. Taken in 1916. The photo captures the physical toll of the war and the blank, haunted stare of trauma. On the 1st of July, 1969, an undercover officer walks through the streets of Brooklyn, New York. At the time, placing plainclothes agents into criminal networks was a common tactic in organized crime investigations. Children play in water gushing from an open hydrant during a hot summer in New York City. Captured in 1954. The photo shows how simple pleasures helped beat the heat in crowded neighborhoods. A worker stands beside large piles of cedar at Seattle Cedar Lumber Manufacturing in 1939. The scene demonstrates the scale of lumber production used in shipbuilding and construction. Soviet soldiers feed condensed milk to polar bears in 1950. This unusual scene took place in zoos and research facilities as part of animal care during the Soviet era. A woman poses in a homemade Halloween costume shaped like an egg. Taken in the 1922nd or 1932nd. The image reflects the creativity and humor found in early costume traditions. In March 1936, a mother and her 3 children stand in a field near the Tennessee River. They were part of a family of 9 struggling through the Great Depression. Conrad O'Brien, French, a former police officer and MI6 agent, greets a bear in Banff National Park in 1950. Known for his bravery, he also served in World War I and World War II. A man balances on the cables of the Golden Gate Bridge during its early construction phase in 1935. The iconic structure would be completed 2 years later, connecting San Francisco to Northern California. In 1912, a young woman steps off a streetcar in New York City, dressed in the fashionable style of the time. Streetcars were essential for daily urban travel before cars and subways became widespread. A couple skates together on Whitestone Pond in Hampstead, London. Daken in 1933. The photo captures a moment of winter fun at the highest natural point in the city. During a major flood in Ontario, Canada, in 1974, a police officer stands guard in front of a pharmacy. The image symbolizes local efforts to protect property in the face of widespread destruction. In Studio City, California, a photo from 1910 shows a dog-drawn milk cart making deliveries. Before the rise of automobiles, this was a practical and charming way to transport fresh milk. In 1902, photographer Anders Beer Wills captured a fisherman in Bergen, Norway. The image reflects the everyday routine and manual labor central to the local fishing economy in the early 20th century. Two gentlemen pose in formal attire in a photo from the early 1902. Wearing hats and suits, they reflect the lifestyle and dress standards of the era. Taxi drivers line up with their horse-drawn carriages in front of Madison Square Garden in New York around 1900. The city was in transition, shifting from carriages to automobiles. A young couple poses next to a speed limit sign in Oklahoma, taken in the 1922. The photo marks the early days of traffic regulation as automobiles began transforming American roads. On May 3, 1953, Paul Overby was rescued by rope from the Pitt River Bridge over Shasta Lake, California. He and Hank Baum escaped before their truck fell and caught fire after skidding on a wet road. A steam train arrives at a downtown Boston station in 1910, surrounded by cobblestones, brick buildings, and electric poles. The scene reflects a time of rapid modernization. In 1956, a woman hails a taxi in New York City. The photo captures everyday urban life and the fashion of the mid-20th century, a 1937 photo from Transylvania, Louisiana shows a mother teaching her children at home. It reflects the difficulties of rural education during the Great Depression. In 1907, a grandmother repairs her grandson's only pair of pants. The scene was common in rural American households where resources were limited and clothes had to last. Coney Island, New York. In 1949 shows thousands enjoying a summer Sunday at the beach. Umbrellas cover the sand while crowds stroll the boardwalk. An elevator parking garage in New York around 1920 demonstrates an early solution to urban space. Cars were stored in vertical lifts to make room in crowded areas. A samurai stands holding a sword and fan in a photo from 1866. His attire represents the traditional class during the final years before the Meiji Restoration transformed Japan. On the 14th of August, 1945, people sit among confetti on a New York curb, celebrating the end of World War II with Japan's surrender. The photo marks a moment of collective relief and joy. A young couple relaxes on a car bench while watching a movie at a drive-in theater. Popular in the 1952nd and 62nd, this form of outdoor entertainment symbolized freedom and leisure. The Goodyear illuminated tire, made of fiberglass and weighing 8 pounds, was built in 1961. It was displayed at the 1964-1965 World's Fair as a symbol of innovation in the auto industry. At a Los Angeles trackside restaurant in the 1952nd, meals were delivered by conveyor belt directly to cars. The system reflected the drive-in culture and forward-thinking service ideas of the time. The RMS Mauritania, seen here in 1909, was one of the largest and fastest ocean liners of its era. At 787 feet long, it set speed records crossing the Atlantic and offered luxurious accommodations. In 1956, a woman stops her car on a snowy road in the Pyrenees Mountains of France. The scene highlights the challenges of winter travel in remote, mountainous regions. Children play inside an old bus that has been turned into an improvised playground, likely from the 1952nd or 1962nd. The photo reflects the creativity of children in making fun from what they had. In January 1921, in front of the U.S. Capitol, supporters of both the Republican and Democratic parties engage in a snowball fight. The moment came during the presidential transition to Warren G. Harding. Albert Einstein plays the violin in 1941. Alongside his scientific work, music was a constant companion that helped him relax and refocus his mind. Two girls pose proudly in front of a snow fort in 1910. Built by hand, the icy structure was a product of winter creativity before the age of modern toys. A group of window cleaners work high above the city on suspended platforms in the early 20th century, dressed in suits and berets. Their task highlights both the danger and formality of the time. In 1967, a sailor from the San Diego Naval Base submitted an unusual leave request. He wanted time off to be with his wife, who was planning to get pregnant over the weekend.